What is up, everyone? Thanks for joining us for another Uno night. And as you can see, we have a special guest. We have Thom Clancy III. Say what's up, Tom.
Hello. How are you?
We are
Right.
doing awesome. um, so yeah, you have me, Kenny. Obviously, you see Kenny of G up there. You also have Simplistic.
Yeah.
I can talk.
Damn.
I promise. I promise I can talk. It's Ubisoft's fault, and I'll explain why later. Uh, aka Channing, and then we also have UFG Blaze, aka Jamie, and we're
Yep.
gonna have another Uno night. If you saw the first episode, you kind of know what to expect. For all the new people, this is basically a space where us creators kind of get together and chill, relax, talk about things while playing Uno, and also sharing some of the stuff that we're working on and that sort of thing. So without further ado, I will start the match, and we will get into whatever you want to get into. Uh, so with I guess jumping into like what happened this week, my first article for Nerd Much went up today, or not today, but earlier last week, and it was dope. It was I did an article about Animal Crossing and how using it as for therapeutic means is can be healthy, but in my case it wasn't. Interesting read. Definitely go check that out. Also, uh, I had see just gonna reverse. See, okay, I see how it is. Uh, also,
It's fine. We don't need to play, man.
yeah. It only took it. You know what? I'm gonna skip to this part. It only took us like 30 minutes to play this game because Ubisoft requires you. We're playing on Steam just to break the fourth wall here, and Ubisoft requires you to, go through UPlay to like invite people and all this other stuff. So not only do we have to, friend everyone up and make sure that we all have the right whatever, updates and all that good stuff. We also had to make sure that I guess Ubisoft servers were working, even though we're playing on Steam, because for whatever reason on UPlay itself, it said that I had Tom as my friend, but when we started the game, it was saying that his friend request was pending, so I had to reboot the game, and it was all this other BS and like, yeah, Ubisoft, get your shit together. Um, Now, going back to my my week, yeah, pretty cool week. Some articles went up, not just from Nerd Much. My review for the Steel series, I think is Arctic's headset. That's for it was the Johnny. What do you call him? The guy from Cyberpunk that Keanu
Silverhand.
Reeves
Johnny
is playing.
Silverhand.
There you go. I did a review for that, and that went up on IGN, so check that out. So pretty
Nice.
good week. Pretty good week.
Oh.
Um, Aside from that, a story I wanted to share real quick. Damn it. Uh, a story I wanted to share real quick before we move on. So we were talking about off air. We were talking about the Karens and the Kyles, and this lady, she. So apparently she was in the like she was her car was like they were in an intersection. There was a UPS truck right behind her, and the light turned green and he was waiting, and the light eventually turned red, and then it started to turn green again, and he hit the horn. Now, for me, he's real nice because I would bump, I would hit the horn sooner, but he waited until the light was getting ready to turn red and he honked the horn. And the lady got out of her car, walked over to him, and was like, "You need to apologize to me for honking your horn." And he was like, "What do you mean? You're in the middle of the road. Why can't you? I'm trying to go." And she's like, "Nope, you gotta apologize or you gotta call the cops. I'm not moving." So now traffic is backed up. People are honking and are upset, and she's like, "You gotta apologize to me or give me your name. I want to talk to the supervisor. You know,
Wait a minute.
you
What
know."
state did this take place in?
I don't even know what state, bro. I saw it
Because this
on
definitely wasn't New York.
I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, "Are you serious?" And so she was like, "I'm not going." So like people are like, "Yo, like get back in your car," and all this other stuff. She's like, "Can you please call the police because he honked at me and et cetera, et cetera." So like he's recording while she's doing this, and he's like, "You in the middle?" Like he's like, "I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sorry. Whatever." And she still wouldn't let it go. She's like, he was like, "You're sitting in your car and you're reading." Woohoo! I think I won the first one on the last video.
I think you did. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
So
One of the first like 3 or 4.
he was like, "You're reading in your car," and she's like, "Well, I wasn't reading. I was reading like medication because I was kind of dizzy." He was like, "Oh, well, why don't you just pull over to the
Pull
side?"
over.
And she was like, well, I didn't have to pull over. It wasn't that long. He's like, the light turned red. Like, it was bananas.
Jesus.
Like, I don't know what the laws are where she is, but I lived in Chicago for several years, and Illinois state law is that a person is allowed to stay in the intersection for an addition or for an entire cycle of red to green back to red, and then they have to move or move out of the way on the second green. Either way, it's a dick move.
Right. Totally.
Especially if you're reading medication. If you're reading medication, you should be pulling over onto the side of the road.
Yeah, 100%.
Because
Hell,
that implies that you shouldn't be driving.
Hell, if you're dizzy, move over to the side. Like, what?
Yeah.
You trying to kill everyone? Like, move. Like, I
Maybe.
don't understand. Like, it was. Yeah. So
I guess the
anyway,
crazy thing is,
wasn't-
where did all
but
the
you-
energy
wait.
come from when she was like
So-
talking all the stuff? It's like if you were dizzy and feeling, some type of way, but yet you could sit here and have this total like meltdown or altercation. with me.
Exactly. That don't
Like,
even make sense.
That doesn't make sense to me.
it was
you're
bananas.
dizzy, but you got enough energy to just get up and argue with me while
Yeah.
everybody's screaming at you.
What happened to
Yeah.
that dizziness?
Yeah. Apparently, she wasn't too dizzy. I
No,
don't
man,
know.
because this is how it works. You see, she was dizzy behind the wheel, but as soon as the context of her situation changed, totally ready to go.
Yeah.
Like-
Okay.
Accurate.
So
Accurate.
to say is that was the Karen hormone was overflowing, so she had to get out and be a bitch in order to expel the extra Karen, just so she could not be busy anymore.
Well, yeah, haven't you seen the Improbable Hulk sketch from Saturday Night Live when Idris Elba turns into an angry white lady?
Oh my gosh! Like, it was just such a big deal over nothing, and I'm like, maybe it's the it's Corona season, so maybe, it's everyone's a little bonkers because they have to be at home and whatnot. But still, I'm like, come on, son. Like, you could have rolled your eyes, flicked them off, whatever. Like, and just get out of the way. Like, it's not that deep. It's really not. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. It's all right. Anywho. So you guys, Channing, how was your week?
I don't really have anything. Actually, it went well. Can't lie, man. I've been playing a lot of Warzone as of late. That's unfortunate. I want to hang myself now. But other than that, I'm trying to like come up with a more, I guess you say, thorough or not thorough, but more thought out stream schedule, so to speak. So at least that way I can be somewhat consistent in that regard. And
Word.
other than that, nothing really too crazy. Jesus Christ, this is what I've been trying to avoid, man. Like whenever he's beside me, the game is not fun because all he's trying to do is just psycho crusher me, man. Like repeatedly. This is ridiculous. Now my week's bad now. Like, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it's fun. It still counts. Like my week's terrible because of this. This is 15 cards. Come on.
And it's only Monday.
Exactly. Thanks for the week. My week's gonna be great now.
Oh man. What about you, Jamie? How was your? I guess previous week, I should say.
Yeah, well, basically from last week going to today. So me and Brandon turned on Final Fantasy 11 again, and we've been playing it a lot. I have been being a bad adult and staying up too long. So I've been staying up to like 3:30. Just finishes. Oh, I gotta finish this. Oh, I gotta finish this. And it leads to me going to sleep at 3:30 every day. So that came to head today when my alarm went off, and my body was like, nah. So I didn't end up. I was supposed to get up, get ready for work, or be at work, clocked in at 9 a.m. I ended up waking up at 11:30. I had text messages from my boss and
Oh
everything.
God.
So yeah, I told him what happened. I was like, oh, I just overslept. Blah blah blah. He was cool with it. He said he was worried because I'd never been late before. So he was like, no, everything's fine. I just overslept. And he just let me log in at 12 and I continued working. But 2.5 hours late is pretty bad.
Yeah, especially without like a call or a text. Like, yeah, that's rough, bro.
Yeah, especially 2.5 hours late and I work 6 feet from my bed. So,
Yeah, I'm
That's
gonna
kind
need
of
you
rough.
to yeah.
That's kind of
I'm
rough.
gonna need you to work that out next time.
Yeah,
And go to sleep, bro. Uh,
seriously.
so Tom, what
Man,
about
it's a
your
lot of
week?
stuff to do.
Man, can I just take a moment to say somebody's still playing Final Fantasy 11, and that makes me really happy?
Oh, do you have a history with it?
Yes.
Oh, wow. We have to talk about this at some point.
Yeah, my great regret was that I never got my Dragoon to level 60 so I could wear my full AF set.
Oh, yeah. So now, since it's a lot faster, I finally went and did Ninja. So I was happy about that.
Oh, nice.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, no, well, my week's been, I don't know, man, life's just weird right now. It's like, because I'm so sick and tired of everybody doing the whole, like, you know, troubled times, blah, 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 blah. Dude, just say life is weird and just accept it. But, you know, that's kind of weird and a little crazy. And I'm just trying to, like, get this, silly YouTube show or not YouTube, Twitch show I have off the ground. And thank you for picking that color.
Daggone it, Jamie. It's the sleep. If you would have gotten a full night's sleep, you wouldn't have picked that color.
Look, if he hadn't been playing Final Fantasy 11, he would have gotten that sleep.
See, it's Final Fantasy's fault. There you go.
Yeah, it definitely is.
That's what happens. Yep. Well,
Like,
that's
there's a
good.
lot of stuff to do.
So tell me a little bit more about the show. Like I know I've seen you. Like I'll jump in some of your streams here and there. You were playing some retro games on the Switch. What's the new show about?
I just like about 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago now. Gee, no, it's about 2 years ago now. I had this idea for like a live action podcast or like a podcast kind of thing, except I was trying to blend my work in game development with my degree in drama.
Okay.
And so I'm an early adopter on VR, and I know that you can do like some level of like performance capture type stuff in with VR equipment. And so I figured out you could actually use it to record animations. And so the like original version of the show was like kind of like a late night talk show was what we were going for. And it was like
Nice.
this big crazy whole to do with the production. And you know, it was kind of fun, but at the same time it just didn't feel right, so I canceled it. And then I came back to it like 6 months later and it still didn't feel right, and I canceled it again. And then I sat on it for a while longer and tried one more time and didn't like that. And you know, and then recently I just came up with the idea of doing it in real time as a live show, and it's I'm like 3 or 4 weeks in now. Actually, no, I think I'm 5 weeks in now.
Oh, nice.
And it's going a lot better.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Have you seen or heard about Upload VR's show? Um, a friend of mine, he's the editor over there. Uh, David Jagno. Shout out to David. I'm gonna have to get him on the show later. He actually has a show where they have that kind of similar where they do like a you know a podcast with different different editors and such there, and they talk about like when they like E3 or whatever, they'll have like a what we saw, upload or not upload VR stuff, what we saw and stuff like that. No, talk, and they have it produced so that the camera would sway to their virtual selves whenever they're talking, and go back to the middle or whatever. Really cool stuff that they've done. It's not really interview based. It's more just editors kind of talking. But it's that's definitely something I would check out if you have the time. Um, but yeah, it sounds dope. I'm gonna have to catch your show. What times do you air?
I have like my times are kind of up in the air. Because let's see, like I air quotes ideally, my time is Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern. but that hasn't really been working out all that well lately. And what the? How did you call me on that when I hadn't even hit the button?
You have to hit it first before you put it down, I think.
That's stupid.
Yeah, trust me, man. It got me the first game too. I was like, wait, what?
But yeah, so my time is kind of up in the air right now, and especially too, like a couple weeks ago, I had Rami Ishmael, the independent developer, on.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, he's a cool dude. I'm like one of those people I'm super lucky to count as a friend. And so I had to do this show at like I think 5 or 6 Eastern. And I've got
Son of a...
another interview show coming up this week with a friend of mine, Liam Twos, who's another independent developer over in Europe. And he's and so we're going to be, I think, if my time zones are right, I think like 4 o'clock Eastern on Monday?
Okay.
Or not Monday, Friday. Ugh. Monday's killing me, man. But
Mondays are rough, man. Mondays are
But yeah.
rough.
So we're doing that, and then I think next week I might not even be on Friday. It's it's just trying to get that rhythm to it right now, and just trying to nail down the format, which is really kind of the hard thing to do.
I feel you. This is
I feel like that's kind of the hardest. Like that's probably the hardest thing to kind of figure out, especially when you're starting on a new like venture like that. Especially when it comes to like I guess say streaming or content creating in general, because you don't want to. There's so much where you sometimes feel like, has somebody already done this, or somebody going to be doing similar to this, or how can I make this original to where it's unique to me? That's like the hardest thing to figure out, I find, because it's not a question of like once it blows up, like the benefits that are going to come from that. Like, yeah, that'll come, but it's like, how are you going to be able to create on a level to where you are satisfied as well as the viewer? You know what I mean? Like you're giving out exactly what they want.
It's interesting because, like, I mean, this is something that we had kind of issue with even with this show, because originally we had it set for certain dates, and then I was like, you know what, that's not going to work. So we were thinking about doing the first Monday of the month, and maybe the skip it a week and do the next, because we're trying to do it every 2 weeks or something like that. And it was like, which Mondays work? Because I have other shows that we have going up on YouTube and stuff like that, and other things that I'm trying to try and see which sticks. But yeah, I doing something unique is one thing, but then also I found it that I want to do something that I like, because I want to stick with it. Like, what's really dope about doing this type of thing is that it's a different mindset than my writing. It's a different part of the brain, kind of. And being able to have a conversation as opposed to write up a story has been beneficial, especially during this time. Like, I wanted to stream more and just have conversations with people, which is kind of where the idea for this particular show came up. And so, yeah, it's an interesting journey, I think, and I think I'm personally I'm having a good time, and hopefully that'll be the same, with you. Like, in other words, your show's going to be a little here or there, and as you're trying to nail things down, but I think it's going to get better over time. You're going to be more comfortable and more, in terms of like scheduling and stuff like that. It'll get there basically. It'll work itself out.
Yeah.
So aside from shows and such, one thing I did want to talk about was some announcements and some things that were shown this past week. The first announcement was the a new Mario part, not Mario, Paper Mario is coming out.
Man, I was about to get so hyped. I thought you'd say, man,
My fault.
about to lose it. I'm like, what? I missed it. I need that link immediately. I need that link right now.
Nah, a new Paper Mario is coming out, and I personally am interested. But I think it was really cool that it's coming out. They announced it and it's coming out like right after, like it's coming out like in the next 2 months, I think. Which is kind of cool. Like normally we get an announcement and then like end of the year, but I think what happened was, because of COVID, they were gonna announce it sooner, and they couldn't. They
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that they had the date, straight, and so, um, darn it. So in doing
You're
so,
welcome.
thanks. So in doing so, they were able to kind of close the window and kind of announce it, not too far from the date, which is kind of cool. Is anybody looking to play that?
I mean, honestly, if I had a Switch, I would definitely like venture out to more. I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've kind of gotten away. Like, don't get me wrong, super competitive. I'll body anybody in a fighting game, so don't ever go there. But I've noticed that I've been kind of getting more into like the immersive aspect of gaming, which I kind of neglected towards the beginning of, I guess you could say, my. I've never really been interested or into like single player like games. Don't get me wrong, like I've played my fair share of ones that interest me, but as far as like missing out on like story driven, like really deep thought out type like stories, like that's a big thing that I've noticed that I've begun to do. That's why Cyberpunk's like a huge deal for me, because I mean it. Like when that game comes out, I'm literally falling off the side of the earth. Like you will not hear from me. Don't ask me to do anything. I'm going home to play Cyberpunk. Like, and like the only other game I really did that with was like The Witcher.
Oh,
But
Witcher was good.
I didn't give Witcher as long, and I think it has more so to the appeal of like the whole cyberpunk kind of dystopia like society, to where it's like it reminds you like Judge Dredd. It's like that's very plausible. Like that could be us in like another 50, like I'm sorry, not 50, probably like 60, 100 some years. You know what I mean? Living in like mega cities, because you can't go anywhere else. So
Yeah. I think
that's what at least for me is.
that's awesome. Well, I mean, then maybe that might be a game up your alley then, if that's the case. Being that it's a RPG, as opposed to a fighting game and stuff like that. What about you, Jamie?
One thing I want to point out: Tom hasn't moved in 4 rounds.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I didn't actually want to play the game.
He's like, what am I doing?
That said,
Doing
though,
something else.
Wow. Okay.
it didn't matter what color you played.
Yeah, I was trying to get something. I was like, ah.
But it's actually
skip reverse.
it worked out though, because I have an old Xbox 360 controller plugged into my computer, and when I'm not using it, it kind of just like sits on the floor because whatever, this thing is, almost 15 years old at this point.
Jeez.
I mean, if it's not dead now, nothing's gonna kill it. And I didn't know that this game had vibration. So it's been vibrating, and it's just like my computer room is right over the kitchen. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, what the hell is my wife doing in the kitchen? And I'm like, what's that sound? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, it's coming from right beneath me. Like, she's like, I'm in the kitchen, I don't hear anything. And I'm like, how do you not hear anything?
That happened last time we were playing, and
Yeah,
because his
sure did.
Jamie's controller was vibrating, and it was like why do you have your controller there like that? Like what is going on? He had it on his computer desk.
Instead of holding it.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah, you would think that there would that this game would be able to make, say, a check to see if a person was using mouse and keyboard
Right.
or a controller, and then determine, oh, they're using mouse and keyboard, let's turn off, haptics, as opposed to, hey, they're using mouse and keyboard, let's continue to rumble their controller.
Yeah.
It's Ubisoft, bro. You are expecting a lot.
Hey man,
Ubisoft.
I'm expecting no more of them than I would do working in Unreal, which I do.
Okay.
That's one of the first things you do, is you do, like, when you're doing your begin play, is like run a check on like what tech they're using. Like,
Yeah.
hey, are they using a head-mounted display? Are they using controller, keyboard, mouse? Like, come on.
Something.
But then again, like, they probably just ported this from whatever the
I think it was on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, I was about to say they very likely just ported it over.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, what was it, like 4 years ago? The Achievement Hunter crew did the 2 hour long episode of Uno.
Yeah, I remember
Oh
that.
man.
Uno the movie. I loved it.
But yeah, so going back, so what do you think of are you interested in Paper Mario, Tom?
Yeah, I'm gonna play the hell out of it. I didn't really get to play the last one. What was it, on the GameCube?
Was it
I
on the
never had a game.
GameCube?
I
think
believe
so.
so. The last one. I believe it was
Uh,
GameCube.
I think the last one was on the 3DS.
Oh man,
Okay.
yeah, my 3DS was a Pokemon machine, so yeah, definitely didn't. I didn't even know about it on there. Um, but yeah, I just haven't had a chance to play it. Besides, like it was originally on Super Nintendo, right? I played that one. I was like 5, but I kind of want to have a chance to experience it and see, you know, what all the hype was about. So I'm pretty excited for it. I'm gonna buy it.
No, the first one I believe was on the N64.
First one
Uh,
was on Super Nintendo. Oh no, Super Mario RPG
yeah,
was on Super
Yeah.
Nintendo.
that was made
Okay.
by well, when it was called Square Enix. I mean,
Oh,
SquareSoft. That's what yeah, they did that game. But yeah, Paper Mario, I think the first one was on N64 and then it went to the GameCube. Um,
Yeah, it was like Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, I think was the name of it.
yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that one was good. It was good. I'm looking forward to it, and also it being something a little different. But aside from that, we also had the past week. Actually, it was on the same day. I want to say, uh, Sony showed gameplay footage for the
Ghost of Ghost of
Tsushima.
Tsushima.
There you,
Thank you.
yeah, that name, and it looked cool. I liked how the play styles were different, where you had the sneaky guy that kind of reminds you of Tenchu, and then
Yeah, I was about to say Tenchu. Yeah.
you had the straight up samurai, like and I liked how the finality of the fights were like one slice kills someone.
Mhm.
Uh,
It's that Sekiro feel to it, without
yeah,
the dark
Dark
excuse me,
Souls.
Dark Souls like punishing. I'm pretty sure the game will be punishing in its own way, but
It looks
that's,
great.
oh my god, I mean, if that game, I'm pretty sure they're gonna do this, but if it launches as a PS5 game, pretty sure it's gonna happen. That's gonna be amazing.
Nah, it's gonna get a PS5 remaster within like 6 to 12 months of the
Months, so yeah.
PS5 launch,
Yeah,
just like they did with
The Last of
Last of
Us,
Us.
which also makes me feel like we don't need these new systems, but whatever. I'm not gonna
Well,
go on that rant.
the funny thing too is that uh, it doesn't really matter at this point, really. I mean, like it's just now they're just bragging on the increase in the system power. I mean, like what they could almost do in a way is just make a PS4 and an Xbox One with those faster uh storage systems in them and be pretty much on point with where they need to be. Because like, I mean, I'm not going to say that the new graphics cards and new processors aren't really nice and good things in there, but at the end of the day, like video games aren't great because they look great. They're great because they play great.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lost ideology because you have a lot of people that literally just sell you like eye candy. Like, what did we
And
talk about last time? Do you remember the Order 1886?
Yeah,
yeah, that
It
game
was pretty
looked
much just a
stupid.
glorified tech demo. But I felt like if that game would have been somewhat fleshed out, they could have actually had something there. Yeah, granted, at the end of the day, it probably would have been a Gears of War like knockoff. But at the same time, it's like they didn't do anything with that. They were just like, this is the power of the PS. I think it was PS4, PS3, and here you go.
It was PS4.
Oh yeah, it was early like PS4. You're right.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was like a
The
launch
launch
window
title, right? Yeah, and that was pretty much the tech demo of the PlayStation,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
unfortunate because I was like, y'all could have did so much.
Which is interesting because a game that they didn't promote a whole lot, Until Dawn actually did really freaking well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's I get it though. You want the nice new shiny item looks nice, new and shiny. So I understand the appeal there, and then also the idea that it can load faster and stuff like that. Unreal 5. All right, cool. However, with games coming out that look as good as they do, like Ghost or whatever, I'm like, do we really need? Can we do a couple more years, especially with Corona season? Like one of the reasons I haven't bought a VR, I wanted to get the Oculus Quest. One of the reasons I haven't got it was one, this hit, and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to swing that,
Okay.
uh, without, getting to a fight with my wife, and then also, uh, having to deal with purchasing a new system at the end of the year, because like I kind of need it to do the stuff that I do. So it's like, crap. Like I don't want a new system right now. I think the current systems still have life in them. I mean, the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro, you can still make stuff that's really good. And it's interesting how like the latter years of the system, we get some of the better games. The Last of Us 2 is coming out. Ghost is coming out. Like it's like, do
I
you?
feel like developers have like figured out like what the consoles can kind of do. It's always towards the end of the lifespan, and you kind of feel cheated.
Yeah, it's like there's some great
Okay.
stuff in the beginning because it's like, oh, these people have been working on this game for however
Ooh.
long. Oh, nice. Um,
That was well played.
yeah.
Even if you didn't mean to do that, that was really well played.
Yes.
Well,
That
hey
was like
man, I took a
cheating.
gamble.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like if we were all sitting at a poker table, you just, like he just all in you and didn't have anything. It was straight dog cards. That was good.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm looking for innovation, and I do want to play the new games that come out, obviously, and especially from Microsoft's end because they have something to prove now, and so I think they're gonna actually try to have some cool exclusives. But aside from that, I'm like, dude, can we not? Can we not right now? Push it off till next year. But that's just me. I'm gonna stay on that rant,
Oh boy. I'm
that's
sorry
my
to hear this.
soapbox.
well, no, it's a good soapbox to stand on because you're absolutely right. It's just there are still legs in these consoles.
Mm-hmm.
There will be legs in these consoles for still several years because we're at a point now where it's literally about optimization. When you said earlier that these consoles have been around for so long that we are just that the developers know how to work for them, and it's true. We've had what these consoles came out in 2013,
I believe
the
so.
Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. What the heck? It wouldn't show me my mouse cursor. Thanks, Ubisoft. Um, but yeah, so we've had these consoles now for coming up on 7 years. Yes, they've had a ludicrous amount of time to figure out how to optimize them. They've had the opportunity to figure out, how all that stuff works and synergizes
Son of a
and
bitch.
all of that.
Okay, all right, all right.
Um, so it's just it is in its own way
All right.
kind of pointless.
Sorry, man.
That but at the end of the day, these companies make
Oh.
money off of hardware sales, not off of software sales.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think the consumer kind of sometimes may
Son
forget that.
of
As soon as you hit yellow, I was like, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much.
I does this count up assists?
I wish, because you were like killing it in the assist game right now.
Oh
Look,
man.
man, I will be the Scottie Pippen to you
Yeah,
all.
I was about
Jordan.
to say you are like the Steve Kerr, Scottie Pippen right now, man, coming in clutch.
Hey, man, you guys winning championships means I still win championships. So
There you go.
I still
There
get
you
the
go.
ring, man. I still get the ring.
yeah, you know what?
All
And
those
if
guys on the
I,
bench still got rings.
hey, and if my assist numbers and my rebound numbers are up high enough, I also still get Hall of Fame.
There you
So-
go. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that the consoles, I know they sell, in terms of like making money and stuff like that. They want to, they come out with a new shiny thing, and especially Microsoft, because Microsoft is like, look, Sony's been in the lead for however long. Our next console, we need to be in the lead, and they're doing some interesting things, uh, design wise, that I think are pretty cool. That said, my favorite console this generation, I don't know if you can count it, is has been the Switch. Um, Even though that like I like a lot of the PS4 and Xbox One games, I think that the Switch has done some things that are different. I mean, and not just in the sense of like porting, you know, games and making them portable, but the idea of like the, what Animal Crossing has done during this time, and Smash Brothers, and being able to play these games with my kids, uh, couch co-op and stuff like that. Whereas, and Nintendo has their issues. We'll get to that, but like being able to have all these family-friendly games is really awesome. And a lot of the stuff on the other consoles are, for the most part, online only, in that sense. Um, Dang it, and that kind of sucks. Uh, but even then, like the Switch doesn't have the most horsepower in terms of graphics or whatever the case may be. It doesn't have the best online. It yeah, online sucks.
Full structure.
Yeah, it doesn't have the friend code thing is still there. Um, I don't really care about amiibos. There's a lot, but at the same time, in terms of like just having fun playing a video game,
Yeah, I
uh,
feel like Nintendo still does a really good job
they
doing
do a
that.
good job of that,
They do a fantastic job doing that.
and I think Microsoft and Sony, and not to say that they don't do a good job when they do, it's just like
I
console.
don't feel like it's their sole focus. I feel like, especially from a hardware standpoint, it's definitely to flex, and then they leave it up to, like, granted, obviously you're going to leave it up to your studios to make sure that you have good quality stuff, but I feel like Nintendo consistently does that. It's like they go in with the game plan of saying, like, we're going to make this fun first, then figure out their other stuff later.
Yeah, I just wish they were
I think
better
they're
at
the only
figuring
one that
that
kind
out.
of do that.
I wish they
Well,
were.
Definitely.
the real strength of Nintendo this time around has been the fact that they have embraced independent developers. As opposed to previous generations of hardware, they really didn't care, or at least didn't show that they cared. But independent developers are the people that you're going to see who are driving changes in gameplay. Because big studios, for some stupid reason, have built themselves up as these air quotes too big to fail style organizations, where everything has to be this huge massive success because they don't know how to spend a lot or less money on a lot of different games, but only know how to spend a lot of money on a handful of games.
That's accurate.
So you have these indies that can take these really huge chances in making these novel experiences where your EAs, your Ubisofts, your Activisions can't. And like that is in part what has really helped the Switch ecosystem. And I'm pretty much no longer really a console player. Like I have pretty much exclusively become a PC player. And so for me, it's like, so I mean, that's the recipe of success for PC, is also this indie, is also the indie
You
scene.
don't have to worry about that. Like, we have so much. We're like kind of spoiled in that regard. Like, we have so much in terms of like what like how you were saying, like what we have in terms of like our library. We have the AAA studios, we have the indies, we got the backyard programmers that just made a game. You know what I mean? Like, we get all of that. Whereas console players, console players kind of don't really get that. You know what I mean? They either have to go through some program or go through all of these hoops to, kind of even achieve that. Or we get it like day one. You just build a PC and then there you go. You're in there. You're already in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then too, we also have access to things like itch.io.
Oh my god, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna have to stop you there though, because well, one, I won, and number two, yeah, as much as I love playing on PC, it can also be ass. Like we just spent however much time trying to get Uno to work, bro. Like
Yeah,
Uno.
you're right. Like Uno didn't work because the PC ecosystem, much like building a PC itself, can be overly complicated.
Facts.
But when
Got skipped by the
PC
computer. What?
works, when PC works, and it generally works more frequently than it doesn't, it
Unless
is
you were
just,
having an issue.
yeah. I was
Like,
having
'cause, I
an
mean, do we
issue.
have to go back to the Red Ring of Death? Like, that never happens on PC. It wasn't a thing.
No, I
Man,
mean it does
well,
happen on PC, except that it's generally our fault when it
Yeah, but
happens.
I mean,
wait,
yes,
wait. I
but you know what
can't.
I mean?
Nope, I can't say that because I mean, since we're picking on Ubisoft, they actually pulled games off of Steam because they were so broken. They actually
Oh
canceled their
yeah,
season pass. When does
I
that
know.
ever happen? That's
You're
like
right.
they canceled their season pass because the game was so broken. Mortal Kombat was, I think it was Mortal Kombat 9 was brought over to PC and in a gobbled up mess. Like there's been a lot of games that are like really big games that you want to play that goes everywhere, and they could the
I mean,
PC
maybe
and there's
you want to
issues.
play them. No.
Well, I'm just saying, like we could name a laundry list of games that only had issue on PC, not on console.
Mm,
Yeah,
To,
fair
to,
enough.
to be fair, to
Like Batman.
Batman,
Yeah,
yeah, Batman, freaking any Capcom game for the most part, like
but again, too, uh, to an extent, we can also put those problems at the feet of developers who don't know what they're doing. In the case of Capcom, developers that aren't taking the appropriate time to actually do anything for PC. In the case of Warner Brothers in Batman. But then, from a development standpoint, from my time working in test, I can tell you that testing for PC is way more complex than testing for consoles. Because the wonderful thing about consoles from a developer standpoint is that they are a known quantity.
yes,
Like every PlayStation 3, every Xbox 360 is going to have the exact same components in it as the next one. Whereas with PCs, you have to worry like, hey, are they running Intel or are they running AMD? Are they running NVIDIA or AMD? What kind of RAM do they have? How much RAM do they have? Are they doing their video output through VGA, DVI, DisplayPort, HDMI? What resolutions are they playing at? What frame rates? And it's the variables for them are so much or have such a wider range. But like when PC works, it's like, I mean, dude, I can play Destiny at 21:9 aspect ratio at 75 FPS.
right. But then
Like you can't do that on console.
true, but it's also the idea of when it works. When it doesn't work, like for instance, when we Jamie, when we were trying to play that horror based game and we played it one time and then we couldn't get the online to work anymore. I had to refund it through Steam because it just wouldn't work. I had what is it, Mad Max or whatever. It glitched on PC and I couldn't get it to work. And I couldn't even get it refunded because I was trying to fix it myself and I went past the 2 hour mark and Steam was like, well, you've been playing for 2 hours. Like, no, I've been at the start screen for 2 hours. I actually haven't played yet, but I was stuck with the game. So they're like, there's pros and cons. But as far as a consumer isn't really caring about whether or not a developer has trouble. They're caring about their product working because they paid money. So if it's not working, it's like I get it, it's difficult, but hey, this shit ain't working. Like you know what I mean? Like that's just what it is. And it's not to say that like one is better than other or you should pick one or the other. I play on just about everything. Uh, but if I had to choose, it would probably be console, just because of that. At the very least, 9 times out of 10, if I buy something, it works on that particular machine, and I'm good to go. Outside of
I mean,
patches and stuff like that.
I mean, every once in a while, you still get the outlier. It just doesn't work whether it's on PC or console.
Well, that's 100% developer at that point.
You
Yeah.
remember the Master Chief Collection 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4?
That was 4, I think.
It was when I was still in Florida, so yeah, that's like 4 years ago.
Holy shit! 4 years passed that fast.
Yeah, that was. I felt
And the
bad.
crazy thing is that like 3 3/4 of them were in March.
Yeah, I felt bad for 343 and whatever other developer helped them, because, dude, I mean, it looked pretty, but it didn't play.
It did, but at the same time, and like this is not to minimize the issues that were had in that process, but porting is an entirely different thing altogether.
Right, right.
Especially porting console games. Like I can't like probably about once a year I get some fan of a previous Thom Clancy game that goes like, hey, why don't they just port this over to like, previous Ghost Recon game over to like Xbox One, and they'll get like 8 billion people playing. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a completely that's not a that's a completely trivial task that like 3 people could do in a weekend. And like the funny thing is that in a weird way, it's not air quotes hard, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
Is a really good way of looking at it too, because thank you. Because at the end of the day, it's a programmer solution on that one. Like there's no new design work that needs to be done. There's really no new artwork that needs to be done. It's all in a programmer to bring it from basically one operating system to a different operating system. And programmers are the most expensive people in your studio. So even if it's not a trivial issue, it's an expensive issue.
Well, the problem there is that, and not problem in the sense of that we need to be informed, but the problem there is that the gamers don't know how to make games. They don't know what goes into it. And it's one of those things that I have to keep in check too when I review a game, that I'm reviewing the end product, but I'm not making any statements about how it was made, how it was ported, how it was, because at the end of the day, I don't know about coding or developing a video game in that sense. And so there's all these assumptions that come into play about why something can't be done. Why can't the PS4 emulate their old games like the Xbox One can and be able to play on the current system? It's like Sony doesn't even know how. Like when they were interviewed about it, they were like, we don't know how Microsoft is doing it. You know what I mean? So like from that standpoint,
I can tell you precisely how they're doing it, because it's the same way that an Apple computer can run can run Windows. They just run a virtual machine. Yeah, that's precisely what they're doing. Is they're running an Xbox 360 environment inside of an Xbox One.
Right, that's evident in a sense of how you have to switch over to like the old dashboard and stuff when you want to play those games on that console. But as far as
but if the Sony people can't figure that out, then they need to get themselves some new programmers.
Well, aside from that, my point was the people that are commenting don't know what they're talking about, and they get all riled up about things that they think could happen or should happen, and it's like, no, that's not how this works. Just because you think it's easy or you think it should be fixed or quickly or however the case may be, you don't know. You just don't. Aside from that, though, you mentioned like the old Thom Clancy games. Do you feel any type of pressure to put out a game that's like awesome because your name's Thom Clancy?
I mean, I feel pressure to put out a game that's awesome because it has my name on it.
Well, that yeah.
And that's just like that's avoiding my own personal issues and damage, but but like I look at it and it's just I don't want to make like those kinds of games, Like I want to make something that speaks to who I am, and so I want to make like something that's kind of ridiculous in its weird way. Maybe it still takes itself seriously, but you know, like I still want I want a game that speaks to who I am as a person. I don't want to make a game that I think people want me to make.
Right. Okay. Because I.
So
You know,
Oh, go
I
ahead,
am
Jamie.
I'm so I've been waiting for how long has it been? What 17, 18 years? I want Black Arrow back. I really want that game back.
you're never gonna get it.
Oh, just grab a bigger knife.
No, it's just like the game industry is not what it was, or the player base is not what it was 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
That's the plain and simple truth of it. It's probably one of the reasons we're never going to see, or we're likely never going to see a Splinter Cell game ever again.
That
Because
That did hurt. That one stung.
nobody wants to play stealth games. Like, and I don't mean I'm not saying
You
that
don't
it's like
think
a
there could
universal.
possibly be like a resurgence of that?
I mean, I think
Yeah.
there could be, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well-
People don't want, or generally speaking, the market does not want a pure stealth game. The market wants something where stealth is an option. Like why Far Cry 3 did as well as it was, or did as well as it did, because you could play that game stealthy if you wanted, and that's how I played it.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to, with the exception of a couple BS missions. Like it was players, especially older players, the 18 to 34 men with disposable income, which is still the prime demographic they're going for. They want to basically have some mindless fun. They want to be able to sit down in front of their computer for a couple hours, shoot some things, feel like they did something, and then
That's it.
go about their day.
Well, I don't know about that. And I only say that not in the sense that you're wrong. I don't know about that in the sense of market, because that was the similar thing was said with survival horror games. And then we got Amnesia. Then we got, the new Mortal Kombat. We got Outlast. Then we got the new Resident Evil, and they did really, really well. I think
Well,
it's like when you don't have
They
it,
did well relative to their budgets.
which is a good
Like,
thing.
it is, but you're not looking at those games through the same, like you're looking at them from the standpoint of they were AAA when they originally came out. They're still AAA to me now, but they weren't developed on AAA budgets.
So you're saying basically like if GTA sold like Resident Evil 7, Rockstar would have killed themselves.
Well, that's different because
Yeah.
Rockstar put a crazy amount of money. But like, what? wait, though. But like, what Resident Evil game? I mean, I think Resident Evil 7 cost a decent to make, being first person and everything. Like,
Yeah, and it did, and like Resident, but I'm also talking like they hedged that bet against other games. Like they have Street Fighter, and regardless of how Street Fighter does, Street Fighter gonna make money.
well, not
You
so much
know,
from 5.
But
made-
it's like, I mean, it's still made money. You know, it's kind of like Madden and FIFA. It's like they might not be the best entries year over year, but they're still going to get purchased and make a profit. You know, it's a lot of business, especially at the large scale, is going to be hedging bets.
Oh my
You
god.
know,
What the hell was that?
and like I'm not saying that you're wrong, nor am I necessarily saying that I'm right, though I generally, if I'm saying it, feel that I'm right. Look, full disclosure, I said a thing. I think it's right. But unlike other people who say things like that, if you show me actual evidence, I have been known to change my worldview. But the big budget games, or like the big budget, like Splinter Cells and Metal Gears, which really to an extent were the stealth games.
Right.
You can't really make those these days. And then also on the extent of like whatchamacallit, don't get me wrong, like Resident Evil, the remakes coming back were great, and it's Resident Evil 7 did very well for itself as well, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's room in the market for multiple things of that nature.
I'll
you
take that.
know Whereas, especially like Amnesia was an indie game, it only needed to sell the few copies that it did
Oh, that's so
to be a
that's so like
profitable endeavor.
it's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but it didn't need to sell like 5 million copies to make its money back.
So are you saying then in that case, because in this sense we do have games or what do you call it? We have a lot of major big budget AAA titles that come out yearly, but then the studios do produce the smaller games as well, and I would assume they still make money.
Thank you.
Daggone it! I reversed for a reason, people. For a freaking reason.
I didn't expect him to have blue. I really didn't. I even thought it was like red or green, honestly.
I'm sitting there, I'm just like, please, blue.
Something in my
Um,
subconscious is like, you
reverse
picked
the
blue, and
red.
I'm like, wait, what?
I had the
I'm
reverse if you picked red.
secretly a telepath. No.
So like and then this after we can move on, but like the idea that like only games that are big AAA games are the ones that are going to make money for these studios. I don't know about that because they still seem to be placing their bets in other areas in terms of their development. I mean, because who knew that Monster Hunter was going to sell the way it did? I don't think Capcom did. Maybe in Japan, but
That's
not
what their
in the U.S.
primary demographic. Like, that's who they were selling that game to. Remember how long
Right?
it took Monster Hunter to come out in the Western? It took fucking forever for us to get that game over here.
It did, and the one we got was a port.
Yeah,
So it wasn't a hugely expensive endeavor for them.
Right.
It's probably one guy.
What's
Yeah, they hedged their bets on the first Monster Hunter to come over to the US.
Well, no, there's been other Monster Hunters. I mean, the 3DS Monster Hunters have been here. The PlayStation had Monster Hunters too that were in the U.S.
I remember seeing that game when, like, I wanted to play it, but you couldn't play it unless you had like a Japanese console, and it literally took Capcom forever to get that game over here for us to play.
Well, no,
Because they didn't feel like they had a market for it over here. I feel like they were like nobody over here. They want to play like the
because
Call
the
of Duty.
original Monster Hunters were PSP titles.
Well, no, I played my first Monster Hunter title I've ever played was on the PlayStation 2, and I got that from Blockbuster. Like,
Really?
yes, like and because you had to have the what was that connection piece when
Oh,
SOCOM,
the modem.
yeah, when SOCOM was a thing. I was able to play it then, and then I kept playing it. Like after that, and then I moved over to the 3DS. I had the 3DS versions that I played, and then one came to the Wii U and to the Wii, and so like they've been here, but they haven't sold to the extent to what Monster Hunter World has sold. So that's a bet. Like that's a risky endeavor because that's a bigger game than any of the other Monster Hunters have ever been.
Mm.
So I mean, I think there's room for it outside of the huge like Call of Duty every year type title. I mean, Apex Legends is doing pretty awesome, and that didn't cost as much as their Star Wars game that they released in the same year. So
yeah, and Apex is also built in an entirely different business model too.
True.
I mean, it's like I'm not saying that that making a big budget AAA title is the only way to make money, but that's the way people are carrying things. Is they're looking at it and it's just like especially an established franchise, they appear to feel a need to just make them these giant productions. Like in all honesty, a Splinter Cell or a Ghost Recon doesn't need to be a big giant production. It just needs to be a tight production.
Right.
You know, it's like we just want Splinter Cell to be a solid game. You know, it doesn't need to have spies versus mercs, which is a nice add-on if they do have it. We just need it to be Splinter Cell.
Daggone it.
Um,
And you skipped me. The disrespect.
I just want you to hold them cards for a little while longer.
And he wins.
I mean, he was gonna hold them for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything else, man. It was like his last
Dang
card,
it.
100% was a red. Like
I didn't want to cut Tom off. I was like, yo,
what you thinking about, bro?
yeah, like come
Look.
on.
But at the end of the day, it's we're seeing a symptom of a larger I don't want to get political with it, but we're seeing a symptom of a larger economic situation which is causing the audience to spend less money than they previously did on games. And when people are feeling a pinch and are only going to be purchasing X number of games a year, or like X minus or N games a year, and now in like an N minus X style situation, they're generally going to try and hedge their bets by purchasing games that they feel are going to be a higher or that they feel are going to have a higher intrinsic value.
Right.
So that's why we're seeing like a lot of that stuff, and it is unfortunate because like I could be wrong. I could just be looking back at the past through nostalgia glasses, but I feel when I was younger and when we were all younger that there was a greater variety of games in the AAA space, or at least there was a greater variety of games available to us than there are today. Like it wasn't like 3 different flavors of the same burger.
Right. Right. I
Do
definitely
you
feel
think
that.
that's because? Well, you had already kind of said it. That's the whole point of like the hedging the best thing. That was pretty much just gonna be us talking in circles. That's the question. Yeah.
So I have.
It shows that I'm at least paying attention, because it's like
Yeah.
I would have been like, "Oh, what about?" And it's like he literally just said that. You're not listening. You need to get out of the lot.
I'm blessed to have a lot of very intelligent friends and very interesting places throughout the entirety of the game development universe, and then also have way too much time on my hands and just basically think all day long.
I'm one of those friends, by the way. Just want to throw that out there.
Cool.
But it's definitely cool. So we actually we ran up on our hour, and I didn't expect us to talk about games for the whole time, but we all play video games and we're playing a game, so that totally makes sense. Before we close out though, what have you guys been doing outside of gaming? For me, I've been streaming a lot on Crunchyroll. I've been watching different anime. One of them is Black Clover. Pretty good so far. Unfortunately, though, because of COVID, a lot of the production has slowed down, and so you're not gonna. Obviously, you want them to be safe, but on the flip side, trying to binge watch something that's not gonna be finishing readily kind of sucks as well. But yeah, like Netflix and Disney Plus has been great, and then also I'm thinking about getting. Okay, I just want to say that you
Thank
both
you.
suck right now.
Yeah. Come on. How is that possible?
I got dealt 3 of those cards at the start of the game.
I'm in disbelief. I was like, really? That many?
Look, no one was more surprised on
Like,
that than I was.
like, I didn't want to do it, but because the option was there, it's like I have to do this, right?
Oh my god. Anyway, okay.
Hey,
That was
it was
rough.
fun while it lasted. So you've been you've been watching a lot of anime, but
Yeah, and it's like it. So they're stopping. Like a lot of big anime is they're not, because obviously they're working from home or has to stay home or whatever. They can't really pump out as much as they could, and so it's kind of on hiatus. Whereas things like Netflix or Disney Plus are constantly coming out with, or seemingly constantly coming out with content, and so that's kind of been helpful. Uh, during the COVID time. So I was asking, what have you guys been doing outside of playing games to kind of keep yourself, sane for the most part?
Me, I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way quick and short. Just kind of practicing like guitar and just kind of like I guess you say, focusing more on like self. One of the things that like the COVID kind of thing allows you to kind of do, if you really want to, is have like a moment of clarity. If you're really honest with yourself, where you can kind of like assess everything, kind of take it all in. So, but other than like just practicing like guitar and kind of doing like, I guess you say, some personal growth type stuff, I chose to take that route instead of like making learning the language or like I chose to focus more on myself, which has been kind of beneficial.
That's what's up. Jamie, I know you've been playing Final Fantasy, but aside from
Yeah.
that,
Aside from that of like almost like 6 hours a day, um, yeah, I hasn't really been much else to do for me because eventually I'll start watching like My Hero again, finish it off. Just haven't gotten to it. So I've been in the times where I haven't been playing and I wasn't working, doing neither of those two things. I have been spending a lot of time with my one of my nephews because he got introduced to he got introduced to Portal for the first time the other day. So we've been like talking about that. He's wanted to like draw about it a lot. So I was like, you know what, I'll join him. So he drew me like a Portal gun
oh,
and stuff
nice.
like that. So yeah, we've just been chilling with him.
That's what's up.
Nice.
What about you, Tom?
I've been falling down the YouTube rabbit hole a lot
Rough.
lately.
That's rough.
My rabbit holes lately have been Warhammer 40K, which I don't play.
Nice. Hey, don't forget, there's this Japanese like guy I'm subscribed to that only plays light gun games, and I am immersed. I can't stop watching. I
Like-
cannot stop watching him.
Well, it's I started watching 40K lore videos because I follow a couple like Star Wars and Star Trek lore YouTubers because I'm a nerd. And so I started watching some of that, and then it was all like, hey, maybe you'll like Warhammer 40K. And then like 40 hours of that in, it's all like, hey, maybe you want to watch some people play Warhammer 40K. And so I've started doing that recently, and you know what? I like watching people play Warhammer 40K. I may have read a Warhammer 40K book or two.
Oh man.
So this goes
I
deeper than
may
you
be
two.
considering getting an army of Warhammer 40K miniatures.
Speaking of miniatures, I have a bunch from like Dungeons and Dragons. I actually reviewed some of the figurines, and they gave me like a plethora of boxes of them. And unfortunately, there's no one I know outside of like a very few who play Dungeons and Dragons. So I have these awesome. I actually have a rare figure
Yo,
that I
I
got
know
in
a
a
guy.
box, and it's like there's no one to play it with, and that's like I want to kind of eventually I want to set up something where like virtually we can kind of like, okay, you move your guy this way, this is where I'm gonna go, type thing.
No,
Uh,
dude, I'm not gonna lie. After I started watching Warhammer 40K games like literally yesterday, I've been thinking how to stream two people playing 40K remotely on effectively the same screen. And like, I think I have an idea that would work. So like, all right, so let's just use 40K here as an example, right? So we'll just say you have like a standard like dinner table size thing, like we'll just go with 2 feet by 4 feet, right?
right.
So if you can get both people shooting like the same relative top down angle and then have them both set up like the same base board setup, except have one of them do it completely in green and have it all equally lit. You could have the main streaming person then composite it before then broadcasting it onto, like, say, Twitch.
How the hell would you do that?
Chroma key.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like if like let's say it's the two of us playing, right? And I go, "Hey, we're going to play," and we video chat through the setup process. So it's like, "All right, so we're going to, like set this up here. It's exactly these dimensions, set it up here." And like your version is green and then mine is the whatchamacallit? Mine is the like actual like model or what have you. Nice. It's good to see that they play this tactic back against us. But then, so the idea then being that we you would broadcast your video from the same angle as mine to me, and then I would put that layer over mine, chroma key out the green. So theoretically, then your units should appear on all of the appropriate places in the composited video that I would then be outputting.
That's pretty awesome.
Like, I don't know for sure that would work.
Yeah.
But
I feel like that is
theory,
that makes
it would.
Yeah. That is making a lot of sense.
That would be
I
dope.
like coming up with way overproduced solutions to problems that nobody else.
Somebody's probably gonna be like, "Dude, you could just do blah 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 and it's it." And you're like, "Well, I
don't care
it still works." Yeah, like I still sound.
But he's doing it, which is the thing. Like I will like I'll go on Twitch and I'll be like, "What are people playing?" And I'll be like, "Is anybody playing this?" And they're not. And it's just like I look at this and I'm just like, like, dang, man, like, why aren't people doing this? Like, it would be so cool if they did. But whatever. Is what it is.
I mean, you're right. Twitch does have a very, I guess you say, varied
lineup
pool
of
of
content.
things you can, like pool of content you can kind of choose from, which is pretty surprising when you think about it. But I've never seen anything like that. Like that would be kind of dope.
The closest thing I've seen was people doing it, but they were doing it from the same. They were in the same location.
Oh my god!
But not remotely.
This is a good game.
4 Unos.
Yeah, this is insane.
Woo!
Kenny won. Oh,
are you kidding? This is insane. This is probably like the craziest game of Uno I think I've ever been in my entire life. 4 Unos, nobody had to win.
And no one has a red. That's great.
Insane.
Oh man.
But, like, I kind of like want to make this my mission to do this now. Not this, the 4 Unos thing. But I want to make it my mission to like do this Warhammer 40K or other miniature style thing, because I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like a ludicrous amount of effort going into setting that up.
Somebody somewhere is gonna appreciate the hell out of that because they're gonna be like,
I'm somebody.
Yeah, but it's like because it's the fact that like it's the whole reason like when like I started doing my show is like I didn't know that other people were doing this stuff. I mean, they're doing it in like VR chat and Altspace VR, and that's cool, don't get me wrong, but like damn.
Well played. You scumbag. That's a smart card to have, man. That was a really good card to have.
A slow clap to you.
Yeah, well played.
But yeah, but it's just like, but nobody was doing it the way I was doing it. Nobody was doing it to the level of quality that I felt it should have.
Yeah. I would totally watch because I've been trying to get people to play like before COVID, like to get people to play, and it was like pulling teeth. And I get it. It takes a long time to set up and that sort of thing and kind of keep up with everything. But once you start playing though, it's really really freaking fun.
Dude, it's
Um,
just like streaming. It's all, or YouTube. It's all about building the momentum where it becomes a problem not doing it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, so yeah, I think that'll take the that'll be the it for the show. Everyone watching, whoever you are, thanks for watching. We appreciate your time. Before we go though, we're gonna do some some house clean or some house stuff, if you will. Uh, Definitely go follow us on all the platforms and such. You can follow me on Twitter at KennyUFG, as well as on IG. You can follow United Front Gaming on Twitter. It's U_F_G. Um, you can follow Jamie, who's also UFG Blaze, on there. Um,
So,
you can also
Christ.
you can also follow him on Twitter with the same tag, and I believe IG is the same, right? That's the same.
No, IG is just my name, but I don't really use it. So
Oh well, he doesn't use it, so don't follow him there. Um, and then Tom, your Twitter.
I am at Thom Clancy, but just remember there's an H in there. It's silent. Yes, it's actually supposed to be there. It's not my fault. Other Toms are lazy and don't know how to spell their names. And then I'm guessing by IG you're meaning the gram,
Yes,
or whatever the young people are calling it these days. I am there as that Thom Clancy.
there you go. Which is right there on your screen to the right. You
Yeah,
can
it's
see it.
also my Twitch as well. Fridays, come watch that Thom Clancy show if you want to
Definitely.
see a live performance capture podcast. This
Y-
week I'll be talking with Liam Twose about his hashtag Pitch Ya Game initiative.
Awesome stuff.
oh,
Also, as someone who goes to your streams, it's actually real chill. You have a way of, I guess your voice is very, I don't want to say relaxing, but it's just, it's what it, like the way he talks, it's like I need to listen to what he's saying. Like what he could be talking about socks. I'm like, okay, what pattern though? Like that's how it is when I
Well,
listen.
I will say though, in socks, I don't wear a single pattern.
Oh, see,
I like to wear. I have a very eclectic sock collection. From plain black socks because they're classy and just how you do. And then I also have a pair of socks that shows a very graphic dismembering of a triceratops by a tyrannosaur.
see, yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to you off air. That sounds awesome. So and then Channing, what's your Twitch? Channing, you still there?
Jenny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I'd muted my. It wasn't like this the entire time. I was like, wow, it's not on. But it's pretty much just gonna be simply simplistic at twitch.tv.com or twitch.tv. And like I said, I'm still trying to figure out like my streaming kind of like setup I kind of want to do. I'm not like a variety streamer, so obviously I have to go with the flow, so to speak. But you can follow me there, and I don't really have I don't really use IG like that. So besides, I don't want like a whole bunch of random people following me.
Wait,
Sorry,
what? Wait.
really no.
So yeah, are you on Twitter?
I do have a Twitter, but it's not like it's in that like infancy phase where I haven't kind of like gone in and like honed it in. Like you'll know, cause I'll plug it. You'll know, but until I get like it's real, it's like super bare bones.
All
Like
right.
it's embarrassing. Like I don't even want to say I have one.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you to spruce that up,
Yeah,
so people can, or at the very least, because I'm gonna link all this stuff in the comments so that people, can go check out everyone's stuff and their content and see what they're
yeah,
doing, because it's helpful. It's helpful.
yeah.
It's helpful to, like I said, when I stop in Tom's stream every now and then, or jump into Jamie's. It's cool to kind of see what people are doing, to kind of
Yeah.
be a part of a group, sort of, and kind of talk, and not really worry about everything else that's going on. We can
Yeah,
just
like
talk
an
about,
escape.
yeah. I mean, and not I don't want
Oh,
it to be
hold on.
something. Oh, go ahead.
We gotta talk about something real quick. I'm sorry, because I want you guys' opinions. Do you guys remember? You guys know who the director for The Quiet Place is, right? I forget his
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
Dude. He was in the
Krasinski.
office.
Oh
You remember?
God, that was
You
the
did you hear
worst
about how
thing.
what happened?
No,
Dude,
what happened?
didn't everybody hear about it? What happened? Oh, except for Kenny,
So
apparently.
apparently, at the beginning of the pandemic, he started a YouTube channel with a kind of like a fake news outlet called Some Good News.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay, so he has now sold that to, I believe, Viacom,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna turn it into like a show, meaning he made money off of that. It's man, it's so like
That's
watching
It's
these-
not
awesome.
even that he made money off of it. It's that he like
He-
the idea is that he sold out.
Yeah, exactly. He pretty much sold out because it's
That's
like you had something that was pure, like everybody kind of got on. Because the normal, like I guess you say, the little guy doesn't ever want to feel like they're being cheated in any way. And when you find out that, I get that his show is going to continue, I understand that, but it's like you could have just kept doing it on YouTube, or just gave it to somebody else to do on YouTube, like paid it forward, so to speak, without having to go through like a major. He got money for that. There's no if, ands, or buts about that. 100%. Because
I mean, he's
there's
John
a whole bunch of
Krasinski.
other different avenues he could have taken to prevent that from happening, to where it wouldn't have been as a big deal as it is. Because like how Tom said, he 100% sold out in my eyes.
wait.
it
So
did at least.
explain it to me. So like, you have to have cable to see it now, or like, how does this work?
No,
Well-
it's still going to be on YouTube as far as we know. It's just it's going to be produced by Viacom as a for-profit endeavor, as opposed to, I mean, in fairness to an extent, we're projecting a sense of altruism on John Krasinski.
Yeah.
That he was doing it to be a good guy. And I don't know that he wasn't, but it's still kind of shame on us for just assuming that he is literally Jim Halpert in real life.
Well, I mean,
You
Jim
know.
has issues too. But
Yeah.
like, so for me, I'm a bit torn because I understand how you feel in the sense that in terms of selling out, and obviously he's not. I can't say obviously because I don't know his life situation. And everybody watching, we're gonna extend it just a little bit longer. Just hang in with us. Yeah, I don't know his life situation to say whether or not he needs money. I'm not gonna speak on that. That said, I can understand someone being like, I made something creative and someone's offering me a ridiculous amount of money and I still have ownership over it, that I want to make some money.
He sold
I
the
get it
rights,
in
so
a
I don't
sense.
think he has
Oh, he doesn't?
the ownership. Once you
No.
think he sold it full,
No, he
like
sold it. It's
yeah,
not his.
it's no longer his
okay,
anymore.
okay,
That's-
now-
that's where the
Okay,
the
now
issue
No,
I
this
feel
is-
away. I feel away about that because
he's-
I thought it was gonna be because you were saying that it was still gonna be on YouTube. I'm thinking he has like a partnership type thing going on because the idea is like I'm only using like my resources to do this, and maybe I want a better quality. Like I have a better vision of what I want
Yeah,
to
that's
it to
totally
be.
different.
And
Yeah,
then-
I get
and then
you.
someone's
I
gonna
definitely
give me
feel you
the-
on that.
Yeah,
This
someone's
would
gonna
be
give me
like
the
if,
money
if
to do it.
PewDiePie sold his channel to somebody else.
Like, okay,
he
that's not
has-
cool.
Yeah, no, he has effectively sold a multi-million viewer channel to the highest bidder.
Oh. Okay, now I'm not torn. I
Yeah,
thought it was a
not good.
partnership
That's-
thing where because like for instance UFG, it's a company that me and my friends basically built. If I were to thinking about like money issues or like in terms of getting money, it would be a partnership thing. I don't want anyone else to own UFG. Period.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So then it would be like, I can now use this money. I can pay more people. I can hire more people. I can put people in positions that would help them. You know what I mean? But I can't really do that off of the pockets that I currently have. But
Yeah.
that's totally different from, you know what? Here's UFG, and I just kind of leave everybody else hanging. Like I just sell it and like whatever. So that's kind of okay. I kind of understand what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. That is. And again,
Yeah.
I don't know his pockets. I know I was reading about someone who, because when you look at someone, you're like, okay, this guy's made movies, he's been on TV, he's paid. Finding out that someone that I not looked up to, but kind of like followed, celebrity wise, had a gambling problem, and a lot of the stuff that they were spending money on, uh, like in terms of bills, like they had a nice house and that comes with a hefty bill, they couldn't afford it, so they had to sell some stuff. And so like from that standpoint, I'm like, okay, I don't know what you would do in that situation. On the flip side, I'm pretty sure because his channel was so big or was getting there that he could have just made money with YouTube somehow. Like I'm pretty
Well,
sure that he could have worked that out.
uh, dude made The Quiet Place, had Quiet Place 2 ready to come out, was on 10 seasons of The Office at probably over 100 grand per episode.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I mentioned the dude with the gambling problem because he had millions.
What, like
And
Nick Cage? You
and
can
he
just say Nick Cage.
well not that guy, but oh, but like
I love that. It's like, just fucking say Nick Cage, dude. Jesus.
but like where you had millions and now you don't. You know what I mean? Because of
Yeah.
my reasoning for bringing that up is the fact that a lot of times outward looking in, we don't know the situation. We don't know what happened.
I mean, that's
And
true.
like for instance, and this is on the lower scale, I did a review for IGN for some Netflix films, and because I scored it high, everyone was like, "Oh, you got paid off by Netflix." I'm like, "Where's the check?" Because like no, that didn't happen. But there's the perception. Just because I I gave it a high score, all of a sudden I'm being paid off. So in this situation, it's like, if he was hard up for money and we don't know that, that might color this a little differently. That said, how you go about it, I can't see how you would go about that. But yeah, it's kind of disheartening. Not gonna lie.
Yes.
I mean, like the rational side of me is like, whatever. Dude built a channel, wanted to make some money, or maybe he didn't want to do it anymore. Like, I get, like that's not something he really wanted to do.
Mm.
But at the same
cool
time,
idea.
yeah, but at the same time, there's something that just feels wrong about it. Regardless of whether or not there actually is anything wrong about it.
Yeah, cause
You
it
know,
seemed more charitable.
yeah, because as I said, we made the poor assumption of thinking that John Krasinski was like Jim Halpert from The Office. Because let's be honest, man, like if he, like we all love Jim Halpert. Like nobody doesn't like Jim.
Yeah.
Even by the end of the series, Dwight came around.
Yeah.
Because he's the fun-loving guy that we all just kind of appreciate, and you're all like, you know what? Yeah, he's a little juvenile and whatnot, but yes, he grows up. Yeah, we all kind of like having that guy around.
Yeah.
Because he helps balance out the people that take themselves too seriously.
That's true.
And we wanted to think that Jim Halpert, the guy who was literally out there against the Dwights and against the corporates and all that stuff, was gonna make something and keep it. He didn't, and it was sad, and it sucked.
Did he release a statement or anything?
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
care.
I don't know. It didn't. It happened like a couple days ago. I just only brought it up because I know a lot of people were kind of like in an uproar about it, because it does feel like you started something that was so, like you say, innocent and pure, and then come to find out, like once things start, I guess you say, turning around or getting somewhat back to normal, you then are like, well, like how Tom said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm gonna sell it. I'm out. Where he could have just been like, here, I'm gonna give this to you. This is now your baby or whatever. He could have gave that to like someone doing something similar and just be like, hey guys, John Krasinski just gifted me, to some good news show. We're gonna keep the same platform. I mean, the same setup, the same format, and just keep it rolling. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by like there are plenty of other avenues that you can go without always having to make it about like the funds, so to speak. Because I'm sorry, man. A Quiet Place is a really good movie. I'm pretty sure it made its money, and like how he said, like I don't. This is probably me just being like giving benefit of the doubt. Like I don't think he's hard up for like money or anything like that. I really don't think that has anything to do with it, honestly.
He's also married to Emily Blunt, who's
Exactly,
a very well-known and well-to-do actress.
Yes. Like people, when he goes to like England, they're like, "You're married to this dude." Like they can't believe it because there's like He's what? This doesn't make sense. How did John, Jim Halbert, get this? This is like a queen.
Well, maybe he's a good guy. Like that's messed up.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
again,
not saying
which
he's a bad
is
guy. By all means, I'm
which
not
is
saying
just
he's a bad
going with
guy.
our idea that we feel betrayed because this awesome dude did something that we feel was kind of slimy.
I dig it.
Just saying.
I'm saying when you start going into who he is, who can and can't marry, I'm like that's kind of messed up.
No.
How
The
dare
people,
that white man
people
from
of there,
America marry that white
the
woman from Europe?
the
Facts.
English, the people from England said that. Like that is like been, like as you say, like I don't want to say recorded, but I think it's been like written in an article where somebody was saying it, like really this guy.
He talked about it on either Colbert or
Okay,
Seth
this is like
Meyers.
from the horse's mouth. I'm not just gonna pull something out of my
Right,
like
right.
my anus
Yeah,
just to
and
go. I'm
it,
gonna
it
have
was
a
a
talking point.
yeah, it
Like
was a
he 100%
custom
said
taken.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it is.
he's 100% said this.
Okay, it's a known anecdote.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh man. But anywho, not to end it on uh such and such not being John Helper, but
Oh well, then we need to come up with something like positive really fast.
positive really fast, huh?
I don't know about you guys, but here in Milwaukee, the weather was really nice today, and it was really pretty.
So same.
And it's really nice to have good weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good weather's nice.
There we are.
There you go.
All right.
I mean, it's Memorial Day. Drink beers, have fun, do some grilling. You
Have
know,
some burgers. Yeah.
Yep. Social distance. You're good.
Please social distance and wear masks. Stop. I know we're trying to be positive, but come on, people. Like, is that the hill you're gonna die on? Not to.
Yo, I,
Oh my gosh! Just there's
yo,
so
I have,
many
I have an Optimus
videos.
Prime mask.
Oh,
that's
that is
fire.
so sick.
Yeah,
That's so
I have
awesome.
an Optimus Prime mask. I wear that.
Ah, son of a bitch.
How dare you? I was working really hard for that.
Everybody was trying to get like one more win in. We were trying to stall, so we were like, so,
It's fitting that I would get the last win.
Hey, all right.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
everybody.
we're gonna end
just
it there.
editing it that way.
Well, I mean, I didn't bring up the extra topic. That was
That was 100% me because I was
Yes.
genuinely curious to know if anybody else had heard about it. Because
I didn't. I missed
You know-
that part.
I follow a lot of news channels on YouTube. I'm surprised nobody has said anything about it.
I mean, I'm
I
pretty sure
mean,
it'll get around. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it'll get around. I mean, like, yeah, like I just found out now, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, but
Yeah.
Anywho, again, thanks for checking out the show. We're gonna be doing this twice a month on Mondays. We haven't nailed exactly which Mondays. We usually talk afterwards, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you know when new content comes out. We also have the Gamecast. We're on episode 16 this week or past week, where we're doing our own brand of verses. This time we did cartoons. Animaniacs versus Tiny Toons, Archer versus the Venture Brothers. We had a three-way between the Tick, Airform Gym, and Freakazoid. It's bananas. Go check it out. And we also are doing the Saturday night streams, which is every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Check that out, as well as UFG Plays, where we just play random games that might not fit into the collective on Saturdays. So, other than that,
Wait, what was that second matchup? You said
Second-
Animaniacs and Tiny Toons, and then
oh, it was Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, Archer versus the Venture
Venture
Brothers.
Brothers. Animaniacs, Venture Brothers, The Tick.
Yes, I believe those were our picks. I want to say.
Whether the right-
No.
I want to say,
Uh,
and to be fair, we weren't really necessarily saying which one. We kind of went pros and cons, and just how we
Oh,
enjoyed
I'm just saying it.
it.
I don't know.
How we enjoyed it. I mean, we did pick some of them. We kind of picked like we were unanimous, like okay, this particular show. But some of them we were like, you know what, they both were good. We enjoyed them both. That sort of
God
thing.
Damn.
We also have a film one. I want to say that was episode. That was a few episodes before, and then we had a character. No, we had the character ones first, and then the movies. So we had like, I don't know, The Sandlot versus Angels in the Outfield versus The Big Green, stuff like that. And then
Sandlot.
yes, obviously Sandlot. And then we had characters. So we had like Terminator versus RoboCop, and so yeah, so it's good content. Check it out. Is my point. Um, I think that's it for
Mm.
housekeeping. So yeah, hit the subscribe again, notification bell, and we will see you next Monday. Take care.
Bye.
Not next
Not
Monday,
next month.
but
Yeah.
another month. Well, you get what yeah.
And
All
I'll
right,
see you on Friday.
Friday, definitely. Take care.